All right, well, we are live and we have another Bengals legend. I'm talking about the
Great.
sixth greatest Bengal of all time.
That's right.
I'm talking about David Fulcher,
The one
three-time
and
Pro
only.
Bowler, the one
That's
and
right.
only, three-time Pro Bowler, two-time All-Pro, Super Bowler, one of the most dynamic safeties ever, a
That's
pioneer, a hard-hitting rock, as he is nicknamed.
the
And
original rock before there was a
original.
rock.
No,
That's right.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Man, you can make a lot of money off that. I'm talking about, yes, David Fulcher, thank you so much for joining the show.
Hey, thank you guys for having me, man. This is awesome.
Yeah. And we also have, for the first time, Mr. Bengal Jim Foster. This guy is the
Hey
most
guys.
dedicated Bengals fan I've ever seen. He's constantly reminding us of the greatness of the Bengals from the past.
Look at that shrine.
Yeah.
You got quite the shrine behind you, Mr. Bengal Jim.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I assume if it wasn't for the current state of
David,
affairs,
David, we've got one of you too, buddy. Just to let you
Hey, I
know.
like that.
That's
man.
beautiful.
That's awesome.
And all of this creates power and positive energy, having a shrine.
yes. And we have one of my favorite people on Bengals Twitter, Daniel Gamba, who is a very sharp young man who loves the team very much and has never seen the kind of success that some of us have from David Fulcher's time. So welcome, Daniel.
Don't you know
Thank you for
the
having me.
children are our future?
Exactly. And of course, I'm joined by my longtime co-host and friend, Dr. Hodgie, the electric Esmoji.
Always a pleasure.
So, Jim, I want you to talk to David and ask him. I know you have a lot of questions about his playing days.
I do. I mean, you got to understand, guys, this is a Bengal legend, an absolute Bengal legend. You're talking about 6'3", almost 240, 240-pound safety, big, fast ball hawker, big hitter, not afraid to come up and run support. There was nothing like David Fulcher back in the day when he played. So it is an honor for me to be able to talk to Mr. Fulcher here. He is one of the biggest fan favorites in Cincinnati football history and one of the best defensive ball players in Bengal history with 31 interceptions, one of the better DBs of all time. It's an honor to have you, Dave. Dave, it's an honor to talk to you.
Man, I'm excited. I know when I was approached about coming on the show, it's real easy. You know, let's do this, man. Let's talk football and, you know, let's reminisce on some of the old stuff. And those that
Yeah.
are listening can get an earful because not too many people had the opportunity to live that 88, 89 season.
right.
All the good stuff that happened back then. And people ask me about, you know, the Bengals going to, have they ever been to the Super Bowl? I say, been there twice. And people don't believe that. And I'm thinking, yeah, we were there twice and should have won both of them. But,
Yep.
you know,
But here's what's funny, David. So people don't know, and I just make if I'm wrong, correct me. But in '82, when you were going to Arizona State, you
Yes.
wanted to be a receiver, right?
I actually went to ASU as a wide receiver.
Okay.
I didn't want to play DB. I was, you know, I played DB in high school and played receiver in high school. And I was I had a pretty good vertical. I could stand underneath the basket and jump straight up and dunk the basketball. And so when they threw the football up in the air, I was just going up for a rebound and I would catch it. And I love catching touchdowns. I didn't want to hit anybody. And ASU tricked me and got me in there and then switched my position. And I got so mad that I just tried to hit everybody. And I started liking hitting people. So then it was like, okay, forget being a receiver. Let me go ahead and knock people out if I can. And I did that okay.
That's good stuff. So during your time here with the Bengals, I think for the most part, Dick LeBeau was your defensive coordinator at one point, correct?
Yes, he was my DB coach as well as a defensive coordinator. Yes.
Okay. So talk about, I mean, you know, with your ability, your ball hawking ability and big hitting ability, how did Dick LeBeau help you, you know, enhance your career?
Well, you know, it's funny because I was a free safety at Arizona State. I didn't play strong safety until I come to the Bengals, and my size kind of determined what they wanted to do with me. You know, defensive back skills, linebacker body, maybe even a defensive end body. You know, 235, 240 pounds as I got older. And LeBeau had a style of defense that, you know, the Pittsburgh Steelers are getting more credit for, the zone blitz. But
Right.
we started the zone blitz. LeBeau started the zone blitz with Cincinnati using me as that player that the Pittsburgh Steelers and Troy Polamalu was. So I try to tell people who are Steeler fans that before Troy, there was David.
It was you.
It was David. So I don't want to hear all this Troy Polamalu stuff. It was Fulcher. And so LeBeau would take what David could offer. And what I offered to football was that fifth linebacker who would come to the line of scrimmage, who would have one-on-ones with running backs, pulling guards. I would take on pulling guards on a sweep or not. And it was an advantage for us to have David Fulcher come up and take on the guard than Eric Thomas or Louis Billups. And, when David Fulcher blitzed, it was a small running back trying to block him. And a lot of things happen between the tackles, from tackle to tackle. And that's where David probably excelled better than probably a lot of people. So he told me, he said, I'm going to make you into a football player that can make plays that people are going to remember. You make plays, we're going to win. And 90% of the time, I made the play. And he utilized, David wasn't fast. People think that I was this fast guy. But, from A to B, I was just as fast as anybody.
You were a 4.7 guy.
And it worked out well.
Amazing.
Yeah, well, so I got one more question, and I'll let these guys, I know these guys got a bunch of stuff. So there's so many big hits. I remember, David, kind of growing. That was kind of my childhood growing up, and I remember all these games. But there's one game that sticks out to me. I don't know why it just sticks out. Probably because we've been talking about it here the last few weeks with a bunch of buddies of mine. But the 1989 Houston Oilers game, the 61-7 game, if you remember, at Cincinnati. You had just a tremendous game, 3 interceptions, a fumble recovery, multiple big hits and tackles in that game. And I guess my question to you on that is, I just remember you were all over the field in that game. Warren Moon just had no chance in that game. So I would love for you to talk about, you guys are up 58-7 with 25 seconds left. You guys are onside kicking, and Glanville and Whites were just going at it. They hated each other. What was it like being a player on the field during that game? What was being said? I want to hear what was said on the field.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was talking obviously on another show about rivals and people that you hate and teams that you hate, and it was Houston. We didn't like Cleveland because we're both battling for the state of Ohio, and Pittsburgh. We used to whoop Pittsburgh's butt all the time, so we didn't care about Pittsburgh. But it was Houston. And the rival between the Oilers and the Bengals was crazy, because every time we go to Houston, they try to run the score up on us, beat us back. They come here, we do the same thing. And I think it was more of Glanville and Sam Wyche than Cincinnati versus Houston, because Sam didn't like that guy. Glanville, he could come out with like he's got all this leather on, and he wanted to be this cowboy, and he wanted to be Joe Cool. And Sam just could not stand him. Yeah. So here we are playing them at home, and we're just putting a whooping on them. I mean, everything that was going right for us, offensively and defensively, and frustrating Warren Moon, and Warren's just so much pressure on him from our D lineman, and he was just throwing the ball up, and like I told you, man, I'm a rebounder, and I'm going up getting everything, and we were up, like you said, 58-7, and Sam, we're onside kicking, and Sam's going to kick a field goal. And I'm like, I could just see what's going to happen when they walk across the field and shake each other's hand, that they may have security, or we might have to walk out there with him. And Sam was like, I don't care about Glanville. If I had the football one more time, I'm throwing it up for the end zone. And that attitude was an attitude that our football team played by. We played like that. If our coach wasn't a bad coach when it comes to, conversations or bad words, he was just, I don't care about you, and I'm going to show you every time we got the football in our hand. And I think that was our motto. Our motto was Sam Wyche, wicky wacky, do what you do best, Sam, and we're going to follow you. And let me tell you, we could not stand the Houston Oilers. Could not stand them.
Well, David, I just going back to that game. Legend has it that there was a barbecue in Villa Hills the day before. There's some delicious kebab, and Max Montoya was just on the show a few days ago. He's talking about his neighbor who made the kebab for a lot of Bengals players, and they say that he told you at that barbecue that you would have 3 interceptions the next day. Is that? Do you remember that? Is that true? Or
Before there was the Swami,
yeah,
it was my neighbor.
yeah, yeah.
He said that. He
did.
He said that. He said that. I have this feeling that you're going to have 3 interceptions, and I don't know where the 3 came from.
No, I mean that's a lot of
I take
interceptions.
one. I take 1 interception.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's like a season.
It has universal significance.
Sometimes people get 3 interceptions, like you said, in a season, and some may have not even had that in a career.
Yeah,
I get it. I get it in 1 game.
Exactly.
And I want to talk about that. I mean, when I look at these old clips of you, Mr. Fulcher, and I see the way you just exploded on people, and you had all this energy. I love energy. I believe in energy. My middle name is electricity, the electric. So where did that energy come from? Was it diet? Was it were you gluten-free before everybody else? What was it that gave you all that energy?
I'm gonna tell you, man. I really don't know, because I'm not. I think it's just years and years ago, I met a performer by the name of Michael Jackson. I saw Michael Jackson perform in Los Angeles.
Wow.
I saw Michael Jackson when he finished performing backstage.
Yeah. 2
different people. And I feel like I played the game exactly the way Michael Jackson performed. When he got on the stage, he was Thriller.
Yeah.
When I was on the football field, I was The Rock.
Yeah.
When I'm off the football field, man, I'm just a pebble.
But
because you were tired after, or just it's like it's a performance thing.
No, like another pebble in the kind of ocean, like among people, just a normal person, right?
I think it's a performer. When you're on the football field, you turn it on.
I noticed that.
And I turned it on, many a times. And there were times that I never went out to hurt a player when I hit him.
No, I know this. Very clean tackles.
Because they're gonna try to hit me back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mr. Fulcher, so like,
hold on.
Go ahead. Oh no, go.
Just real quick. I mean, I noticed that you were very clean on your tackles, and you're very precise. But I also noticed that after you would make a tackle or you would do something awesome, there was a bit of a performance there. You were getting the team pumped. I noticed the energy between the players, and I'm like, man, I wish we had that now.
Yeah, and I think you have to have that, because energy brings enthusiasm.
Yeah,
it makes people want to get better.
Yes.
I used to do a lot of the stuff I used to do is because I got 60,000-70,000 people screaming, and if they see me pumping it up, maybe they're going to get loud enough to help us play the game that we play.
Yeah.
And that happened a lot. It did. I tried to pump my teammates up as much as I could, and it was, like I said, it wasn't about rah and doing whatever. It was just, here we go, guys. We got 60 games. We got 60 minutes. We got to go out here and we got to do what we have to do. And I'm going to bring everything I got, and I hope you bring it with me, because I got to get there, and I want you there with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just watching the highlights of your Super Bowl performance, Mr. Fulcher, and you had all these tackles for loss, and you had the sack, and you had the forced fumble. There was a big run by the 49ers running back, and you're like, no, that's not happening on us. And boom, you come from nowhere, and it's like, on the biggest stage, you were the biggest player. Like, I think you could have been Super Bowl MVP if you won. And I'm looking at that, and I love the Bengals. We love the Bengals, but recent history Bengals have not had that. They've had great players, but it seems like collectively it's like we don't have that guy who come. We had Vontaze Burfict do that a few years ago. We had him kind of in that. You remember that the Steelers playoff game? He had that kind of performance. But other than that, we haven't had that kind of that guy who rises up to the kind of.
And if I may, I mean, Mr. Fulcher, David Fulcher, The Rock, did all of that without getting the fouls too. I mean, it was clean.
Yeah.
That's the energy plus the cleanliness.
Yeah.
I think football today, comparing football today, a lot of these guys are pretty close to being equal.
Yeah.
They're all big, fast, and strong. The little guys are definitely faster than our little guys when we were playing, and then these big guys who were, 6'5", 6'6", 300 something pounds, running like little guys. So the comparity of the teams are more closer than they were back in our day.
Yeah.
So I just think that the way football players are playing today, and the money that they're making seems a little bit different. These guys are, I'm not saying they're playing for the money.
No.
But the money makes a difference compared to when I played. We were happy.
Yeah.
$100,000 is a lot of money, no matter what you're doing.
That's true.
But we had, some of these guys had second jobs. And
Really?
these guys today, man, they make so much money, man, that I don't know if, and I don't know if I'm saying the right thing or believe in it, but I don't know if their hearts are in it as much as it was when we played compared to how much money they're making today.
No, I agree.
I will say, Mr. Fulcher, I heard you on Dan Horde's podcast recently, talking about Von Bell, the Von Bell signing.
Yes.
And you said this man is a game changer. This man, takes it up to a 10, and he'll bring other guys with him.
Yes.
And that was so great for me to hear from you, that we have that kind of player now. Now Von Bell is more, plays like in the box. He's not going to get as many interceptions as you did, and that kind of stuff. But Jesse Bates, I've seen flashes of him, being the
They're
big
changing.
time.
They're
changing,
they're changing.
Jesse Bates,
So,
I'm telling you, Jesse Bates.
Please,
Jesse Bates can make some plays back there. I think Jesse Bates has the opportunity to be one of the great safeties that play for the Bengals. But bringing in Bell, Bell's going to be a game changer. He's going to be that. If you want to go back and, the Burfict or the Fulcher, go back in the day and say, we got us a hitter. We got a guy that can get in there in the box and make plays and could create some havoc in there. And I think that's what Bell brings. I mean,
exactly.
You don't play for the Saints and do the things that they did in New Orleans and come to Cincinnati and don't have a background. And his background is making plays and being a punisher. So I think the Bengals, fortunately for them in this free agency, brought a player in here that could give some light back there in that secondary.
Yeah, and it's like there's a positivity back in the Bengals. I want to get back to that positivity, because you obviously played under Sam Wyche.
Yes.
And I mean, I think our younger viewers, maybe we can bring in our youngest correspondent today. I mean, I don't know if they've ever had the taste of that positivity, the Wyche era. What was it that Sam Wyche did? What was it that he brought? What was that X factor? Well,
I'll tell you what, I think Sam he was a motivator.
Yeah.
He was an inventor. He was a motivator. The NFL wasn't ready for Sam Wyche's no huddle and the sugar and all the stuff that Sam brought to the table. So, we the Bengals that then created something that the NFL wasn't ready for. And when Sam did the things that he did, it was electrifying. Just like your middle name.
Electric. Yeah. And it matters.
He gave everybody something a shock.
Yeah.
And that shock was we were so good at what we were doing that, and I wished the years that I played that we could have brought Super Bowl championships back here to Cincinnati, because Cincinnati deserves that.
But it was beautiful. I mean, even without the win, it was so beautiful to be just alive and excited. Ultimately, these games are about bringing people together and enjoying the energy, and we did. I mean, it was so amazing that time.
Sundays were you lived for Sundays.
Yeah, people don't remember that.
Couldn't wait for Sunday because you knew that the Bengals were going out on the football field and it was going to be a war.
And we're still using the motto from that time, the Who Day.
Yeah.
That time, Who Day, that was Who Day. The jungle, that was the jungle. Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel, I mean, I know you had some questions for David.
Yeah, I was doing some reading about your program, MANA, Mentoring Against Negative Actions. And so it's a mentoring program for those who don't know. So I was just wondering what got you into that, and what exactly do you do with it?
Well, oh man. Now I'm from Los Angeles and my dad was a police officer in LA for, 25 years. And I thought about, obviously being a cop and didn't know if I wanted to do it in Cincinnati or back in Los Angeles or back in Arizona. And when I retired from the Bengals, I decided to stay here in Cincinnati. That's where I met my wife, Judy. And I was working with at-risk young men and women in group homes and in the jail. And I was at a charter high school, and one of the kids in the high school got in trouble. Police came and took him from the school and took him to jail. He was going to be in there for a couple of days. So I asked the superintendent, is it possible I could take that kid his schoolwork so he doesn't miss out on anything? He told me, sure. So the sheriff then, Simon Lease, allowed me to come in and drop off his homework. I sat there and watched the kid do his homework. And then when he was finished, I took it back to the school, but I ran into the sheriff on my way out, and he asked me, what was I doing in there? And, you know, could I bring a program into the jail to help those guys in there? Because all they had was GED and maybe a couple of religious programs. And so we put together a program. 25 years ago, we put it in there. And, you know, 10 years after that, I took it over myself, changed it to MANA, Mentoring Against Negative Actions. And the program is really simple. And I say simple. It's common sense. I talk about common sense. You know, if I build a fire right now in the middle of the floor, I asked them that, would you put your hand in it? And some would say no, some would say yeah. And I'm going, why would you put your hand in it? We're trying to keep warm. I was like, well, okay, well, you know, you can keep warm by putting your hand above it. A lot of them, and some of them would say, well, maybe there's some money underneath and making the fire go. I'm like, I didn't say money. So it's just making the right choice. So I try to simplify an opportunity to work with men and women who are incarcerated, who constantly keep getting in trouble, making the wrong choices. And I try to get them to make a better choice by, one, first, put their family members in front of their needs. You know, do things for them, not you. You know, a lot of drug dealers and guys who get in trouble say that I only stole because my family needs to eat. Well, common sense says when you steal, you go to jail. So why not go get a job at Burger King or McDonald's or White Castles? You know, why not go out and get a job that can provide food on the table for your family, and you get a chance to sit down and eat with them? So for 25 years, I've been working with these guys and girls on making a choice. And Hamilton County gave me an opportunity to do it in there for over the 25 years. And then over a year now, I've been in Butler County Jail with Sheriff Jones doing the exact same thing. And my goal really is to teach these guys something that they can give back. And that giving back might be them going into jail, working with somebody that's been in their shoes as well.
Okay, that's incredible stuff. So how exactly do you connect with these people? Like, so these are a lot of people that, you know, society forgot about, and a lot of people don't care about them. And so there are not a lot of positive people like you coming to speak to them. So how do you sort of get them out of that mindset that no one cares about me?
Well, I think it makes it easy for me because I've been there and done that. Born and raised in South Central Los Angeles. I wasn't afraid of the gangs. I was afraid of my dad. I've been mistakenly shot at twice walking down the street. One came up on my front porch, shot all up my house because he thought I was a gang member. So I've seen all the good, the bad, and the uglies. And what I try to do is when I talk to them is get them to believe that they are somebody special. They're not just a criminal. I don't call them inmate. I don't call them criminals. I call them my guys. These are my guys, man. And a lot of them are, you know, 20, 25 years old, 30 years old, could be my son. So I don't play with them. I talk to them straight talk. You know, I don't sit up there and say, hey, man, you know, it's okay. No, dude, you screwed up, you know, and I don't like the way you're talking to me right now. So if you can't talk with some sense, you got to go back to your cell, you know, and I'll be true with them. And I think that has changed a lot of their lives because I'm true. I try to be real with them. When my wife started working with the ladies, the first thing I told my wife is just be you, Judy. Just be you. Talk to them and tell them, you know, been there and done that, you know, and when we talk to them, we get them to believe that there is a better way of being a person in society to get back out there.
You know, David, but also, it's the love that you have. I think you have love and affection for your community, and it's, you know, you're, like you said, you're originally from Los Angeles, but when the city embraced you, you embrace the city right back, and you set yourself up here long term. And you mentioned your wife, and I think that your foundation is related to that. And I don't know if you want to talk about that, but the David Fulcher Foundation.
Well, it's a passion. I think everything I've ever done in my life is a passion. Even going grocery shopping, it's a passion. You know, if you like what you're doing, it's not a job. And I like more than anything else, but I love making a difference. And my daughter now is 25, so my wife was diagnosed with MS about 25 years ago when my daughter was little. And our foundation back then, when we started it, was to help the National Society find a cure for MS, multiple sclerosis. And we got into the point where we were raising so much money and that those funds were going to a society that nothing had changed. So we decided, 15 years ago, how do we make an impact on those who are affected by MS? So we teamed up with an organization called the Gift of Hope. The lady that runs the Gift of Hope, Sharon Roll, is a MS person as well. And everyone that's part of the Gift of Hope have MS. So my wife and I, when I autographs or do speaking engagements and I get compensated for it, I will take that money and my wife and I will shop for 6 to 7 families that have MS, a mom, a dad, a daughter, or somebody in their family. And then we would give that to them on Christmas Eve or, days before Christmas. So that's what we do. My foundation is about helping those that are affected with MS and giving them some kind of comfort on clothing, food, whatever it may be that takes a lot of their money away from them because of them being MS patients. A lot of doctors and medicines are out of pocket and it's tough for them. So we do what we can to help those folks that are affected by multiple sclerosis.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like that affected you personally, and you had the background with your father, like you mentioned for the manna, but also like the Real Men Wear Pink campaign. That's not something affecting you personally. You're just like, look, a lot of men are getting breast cancer, and nobody knows about this, and so hey, I'm going to speak up, and I think that it speaks to your, like I said, your compassion. You seem to me to just love people and love your people, and and it's just beautiful. And I think for us, for Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, to see people like you, really it means a lot. Because there's you hear things like Ohio, Kentucky. Oh, everybody wants to go to California. Well, that's not true. Some people they love the people, they love the area, and that's just great to see.
Yeah, I think. When the Real Men Wear Pink, I was asked to help with breast cancer a couple of years ago. And one of the ladies that asked me to get involved, I've been knowing for a very long time, and she works with the Bengals and their organizations and raising money. And, breast cancer, I have nobody in my family that has breast cancer. I just said, how can I help? And she started telling me what we needed to do. We were going to put together a campaign and, go out and speak. And, we're going to raise money to help those who have breast cancer. And, all I did was what David normally does is I just ask those folks that I know that are dear to my heart and say, listen, here's something that I'm putting my name in the hat. And how can you guys help me? And once again, I didn't know if anybody had it, the people I talked to. In year one, I raised $18,000. $18,000
awesome.
that I raised.
That's amazing.
For and had no affiliation with breast cancer, which was great. And then the following year, this past year, I went from 18,000 to almost 30,000. Yeah. And it's just people that I knew or people that I talked to, Facebook, all the social medias out there. I just put my name in the hat out there and said, hey, listen, this is what I'm doing. And you couldn't imagine how many people out there that follow us as athletes would give back to the Real Men Wear Pink. So it's about 25 people, not players, people in Cincinnati that that were part of this Real Men Wear Pink campaign. Dr. Odell Owens in Cincinnati, Marvin Butts, the Marvin guys. Marvin has the detailed car wash thing downtown, and oh my gosh, there's a lot of other guys on there, but local businessmen. Dave Lapham and I were the only two former Bengals that were on there, and we were doing something to help people in dire needs. And the money that I raised, once again, it stayed right here in Cincinnati, so it helped Cincinnati breast cancer, not nationwide breast cancer, but we finished second in all the 32 football teams cities with breast cancer this past year. So once again, a passion of mine is to do a lot of stuff. So it's awesome.
Yeah. So can I just hop in here? There's a question I've been wanting to ask for a long time, and it's about your philanthropy. So you took part, if you remember, in a cooking competition with John Robert DeCavel to benefit the Cincinnati Free Store Food Bank. Yeah. Yes. What did you make? I want to know your cooking secrets. I'm a foodie. I love food. And
here's the problem. Here's the problem, man. I didn't make anything.
Oh.
I just, and part of the taste of NFL.
Yeah.
Where they bring a lot of obviously restaurants to the Bengals Stadium and fans come in.
Yeah.
And that's obviously that's the Free Store Food Bank. I am a representative of the Free Store Food Bank and the Taste of Hunger for the Super Bowl.
Oh.
So every Super Bowl, the NFL sends a player, former player, and a chef from their city to the Super Bowl to raise money for Kick Hunger Challenge across America. Yeah. John Robert obviously was the chef for many, many years. And I came in 8 years ago after Munoz and then Dave Lapham.
Okay.
And this past 8 years, I think the last 2 years, we've had Chef Michelle Brown from Jags in Westchester. She's been our chef for the last 2 years. And all I do is stand there and try to look, important.
Yeah.
I have my apron on and I have, we got the Bengal helmet over at the table, and the chefs, they cook, they make food, and people walk around, and I think it's like $1,000 a ticket.
Wow.
And we probably get 10 to 20, 30,000 people in there.
Yeah.
And then they have an opportunity to buy stuff. Because I believe this last year we raised over $2 million.
Wow.
And trust me, man, I think it's every $100 that you spend could feed 800 kids.
Well, and that's going to matter more and more now with the COVID situation. There's a lot of hungry people out there.
Oh, no doubt, man. I think right now, this time of what's going on, man, it's a struggle.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
A lot of people struggling.
I think it's important that people understand that, some of us may be well off than others.
Yeah.
And then some people who think that they're well off get an eye-opening experience that you're not as well off as you thought you were. But I think what's important, man, is that, we have to be smart in this time. We have to be really, really smart. And I know things are opening up and people are getting out there because they're tired of being in the house. But if you're tired of being in the house, why don't you just go outside and walk around the block a little bit and then come back to the house? Because, the more that we are safe, the more it's going to be better for all of us. And you never know, man. And like I said, I'm a sushi eater and I'm starving sushi, but I'm not going there until it's time to go.
Yeah, same here. I've been playing it safe. Yeah.
Playing it safe, man. You have to be safe.
You have to. Yeah. Mr. Foster, Bengal Jim, you have a question?
Yes, sir. I do. Actually, a comment and then a quick question, and then I'll leave you alone, David. But man, everything you just got done talking about, all the charity and all the community involvement, yet another reason why you are such a huge fan favorite still to this day. Not only because of your playing days, man, but you being involved in this community means a lot. And you don't have to say anything about anything you do because people see it, man. We appreciate you being part of our community, and I'm so happy you weren't a receiver and you decided those coaches decided to put you back in the secondary, man. So, but I do have a question for you, kind of a jokingly question. So this picture I showed earlier.
Yes.
So what happened to the high top fade, man?
Oh man, the hair won't grow that high no more, man. That's the problem. I tried to do it. but it won't get up there, man. And
Man,
that was actually a portrait. I think somebody painted that. It's
yeah,
not
they did.
it's not a football card. It was a portrait that a guy painted, because I have that same picture. The person that did it sent it to me, and I have it in my basement. But I'll tell you, man, I was fortunate, man. I love the game. There was one more thing that I wanted to say about charities. I have my own celebrity golf outing, Putt for Penguins, with the Newport on Aquarium. I teamed up with them a couple of years ago, almost 11 years ago, that we raised monies for conservation and with animals, and getting out in the community where they'll take, some of the animals, penguins and sharks and snakes, to schools in neighborhoods, so that the people who can't go to the aquarium, they can bring it to them. And my golf tournament was June 24th. We're thinking about canceling it, obviously, and moving it either further back in the year, or doing something different later on. But once again, man, I'm just grateful for just being David. I'm people tell me, man, you're from Los Angeles, man. You probably had to do it all. No, I didn't do nothing, man. I tell people, I'm not a smoker, I'm not a drinker. I never tried that stuff. Don't want to. Like I said, when the street lights came on, they started blinking. I was in the house before they was finished blinking. And I consider myself growing up a nerd that didn't do nothing.
Well. No, you're saving the animals. I mean, what you're doing there with the conservation, I keep telling Dadio about this. That's the most important thing.
Well, you have to, the economy. I'm just saying, there's also people have economic. You have to consider.
You're always thinking about money.
Yeah.
Look, be like Mr. Fulcher. Think about people, animals, helping.
Yeah. And that's what somebody asked me a while ago about, when you leave this earth, what would you want them to say about you? They start talking Bengals. I said, I don't want to be I'm still the biggest safety ever played in the NFL. So I think I got that down, unless somebody comes out of nowhere. But I just want people to know that a guy who cares will take this shirt off his back to give it to anybody. And, a fighter for the people.
Yeah.
Just like I'm, when it comes to political stuff, Republicans and Democrats. Come on, man. I don't care who you are. No. Just do your job. If you do your job and take care of this country, I'm good with that. And I think that's the kind of person that I want people to recognize with me, a guy who always gave back, a fun, loving guy, a father, a husband, a neighbor who cares. And I just, I was given a gift, and this gift is not just mine, it's everybody's. And I'm going to share it with everybody that I know.
David, you talked about being the biggest safety ever. And recently we saw the Legion of Boom, the Seattle Seahawks. Their secondary carried them to a championship, and very close to a second one. And you had the SWAT team, right? With Solomon Wilcots and Louis Billups and Eric Thomas, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people say you were the Cam Chancellor prototype. Now, your playing style, being that big, hitting that hard, both of you retired at 29, I believe.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Let's see. I did retire, and I think I retired at, maybe 29, 30.
Yeah, 29, 30. I mean, do you think? Yeah, I mean, like that kind of playing style, that kind of size, hitting that hard. Is there a way, now that you have that experience, that you can, pass on to the younger NFL players, that they can play to protect their bodies longer term? Being such dynamic, big guys. Because the bodies are getting bigger and they're getting faster.
Yeah,
so
let me go back a little bit and not just clear it up. That they say I was a Cam Chancellor prototype. I played before Cam. So Cam is the David Fulcher prototype.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
A copy of a copy of a copy.
Yeah, there you go. I think the thing, though, is, football has obviously changed a whole lot. When I was playing, we had a true fullback. They ran the football up the middle, off tackle, off guard, outside. So we threw our bodies into players 24/7. Today's football, it's spread out. It's, 4 or 5 wide receivers. They don't run the football as much as they did before. But quarterbacks run the football. These quarterbacks are really running backs that could throw. Today's game was David Fulcher. Could I survive in today's game on the way I played? Probably getting fined every week. Just the simple fact that I'm supposed to hit people to get them down, not grab them by the shirt. So I think football has dramatically changed to the fact that it's a passing game now more than it was a running game when I was playing. Yeah, we had the Houston Oilers who threw the football a lot, but everybody else had a true fullback and they ran the football with a tight end. I like that game of football. If I was coaching today, that's the kind of offense I would want. I would go back to that. I know a lot of people don't want to see that, but time consuming. You keep the ball away from the other team. You got the football. You run a 8-minute, 9-minute drive. 12-play drives. That clock timing stuff. So, but I will tell you this here. I think the safety today is better than it was back in our day. I really do. I think the safety today and concussions and the protocols and all those things that once you get a headache or once you feel dizzy, you're off the field. You're not going back in the game. And back in our day, it was, smelling salt. What day is it? Who you playing? Get back in the game.
Yeah. The kebab maybe.
Yeah, but it was gritty. It was gritty. I mean, it was gritty and tough.
It was. I mean, there are many times I come off the field after the series and I'm a little dizzy, and I remember trainer breaking that smelling salt and putting it under my nose and saying, what day is it? And as soon as I said Sunday, he said, you're good. And I'm thinking,
but that's always going to be the answer because it's football.
Yeah, you just memorize that one thing.
Just
say Sunday.
And that's what it was. I wanted to play. I did not want, Barney Bussey was my backup. And I love Barney as a brother and probably one of the best guys I ever played with, one of my golfing buddies. But I did not want him on the field. Because if he was on the field, that means David wasn't doing his job.
Right.
David, so you talk about, I know that's changed, and I know Daniel wants to talk to you about this. We're running out of time, but very briefly.
Yes.
Which safeties do you see, and did they get the David Fulcher a stamp of approval, like Jamal Adams or like Minka Fitzpatrick? I mean, these kind of hard-hitting guys, or do you like the guys that the free safeties who get the who going around snatching things out of the air? Like who is the David Fulcher guy?
Well, it's hard, man, because I don't really watch a lot of the football games like I used to. I still work for the NFL. I'm the uniform compliance officer, so I'm at every Bengals home game. So basically, really, I watch the game, the Bengals or who they're playing at home because I'm there. So I don't really follow a lot of them. I'm a spectator. I'm a spectator that don't criticize. I'm a spectator of, and I'm an analyst of watching the Bengals safeties. Coming up, make a play. Come on, Sean Williams, you can make that tackle. Come on up and make this. Come and do this.
It sounds like
when they don't do it.
Yeah, it's about the play, not the person.
I go. When I look at them, I go, I could have made that play, but
Yeah, but let me ask you.
Come to an agreement, Dadio, that we need to clone David Fulcher.
We do, David. Okay, real quick. So you mentioned Sean Williams, and we know Jesse Bates, and you talked about possibly Jesse Bates and Von Bell. A lot of teams are going with 3 safeties right now, and the Bengals might be one of those teams. How do you see that dynamic for the Bengals playing out with those 3?
I think it could be okay. And now if you're gonna put all 3 of them in the game at the same time, I could do that, because now you're bringing a safety in and take a place of a linebacker, and he's now playing a rover-like position. But if you're going to play 3 safeties, trade them in and out, no, I wouldn't do that, because you need to be in the game. You have to have some plays. You got to have movement. You got to have blood flowing.
Yeah.
You just can't go in there and take them out. 8 plays later, put him back in and switch. No, you don't want to do that.
You got to get in the groove. It's like music.
That's true.
You got to be in it. You got to be in the groove.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I'm going to open up to you guys for final questions.
Go, guys.
David,
Daniel,
just quick. David, the toughest player that you played with, and then the toughest player you ever played against that you saw on the field.
That one's tough. I think the toughest player, pound for pound, that I played with is probably James Brooks.
Yes.
You know, James Brooks, you know, he a little guy with a big mouth.
Yeah.
But he made you work. He made us work in practice. Everything that he did was spectacular. I mean, like I said, a little guy playing like a big man. As far as toughest players played against, man, there's so many of them out there. Walter Payton, I played one game against Walter Payton. That guy was unbelievable. Barry Sanders, I think pound for pound, the best running back that ever played a game.
Ever lived.
I think people underestimate that guy. That guy played behind an offensive line that was crap. And he did all that by himself. But there were a lot, like I say, and you know, quarterbacks, John Elway, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Warren Moon, you know, the list goes on, man. There are so many good players out there, man, and you know, receivers that were tough. You know, Webster Slaughter down in Cleveland.
Oh yeah.
You know, those guys were pretty good. Kevin Mack, running back, Cleveland.
Yeah.
Ooh. Let me tell you, man, when I knew we had to play the Cleveland Browns, I made sure I tightened my teeth up, got my new mouth guard ready. I used to have 2 or 3 of them on the sideline just in case, because I'd always lose them from hitting him. Couldn't find it and had to go out and get a new one. So, but I tell you what, man, I played against a lot of guys, and the guys that I played with on that '88 Super Bowl team were a good group of guys that I wish we had more to offer Cincinnati, because we should have won some Super Bowls with that team.
It was a great team. It was a great team.
Yeah.
And that
Daniel,
go ahead, Daniel.
Daniel, please.
Yeah, no. So just my question is, we've been seeing a lot of, you know, talk on social media about like the Michael Jordan documentary and what would happen if MJ played today. So I was just wondering maybe if we could get a time machine, go back to 1988, bring you back today and drop you on the Bengals today. How do you think you fare with the rule changes and
oh my gosh,
listen to all that?
Well, I don't think I'd be playing safety today. If they went back and got me back in the day, I definitely would be a linebacker type, inside, outside linebacker, defensive end, just because these guys are so fast and furious today. But I wish I could play today, man. I you know, guys like Ben Roethlisberger that people don't know how to tackle, I know how to get him down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But David, David,
I'll
please,
get Ben
just
down, man. I'll get him down for sure.
put him in.
yeah. But
So,
David, I mean, you're only a little older than Tom Brady. I mean, the game has changed. I mean, I wouldn't rule
And
out.
there's bionics. There's also bionics.
There's
Yeah.
bionics.
the problem
Yeah.
today is at 55.
Yeah.
I don't think I could be chasing somebody down the field at 55.
You could chase
Now,
Tom Brady. You could chase Tom Brady.
Hey, you could catch him.
If I had
Definitely
my
Roethlisberger.
choice,
Oh
if
yeah,
I
you
had
can
my
catch
choice,
Roethlisberger.
I go on the offensive side of the ball and catch some of Tom Brady's passes.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know,
You
you don't
can
have
do
to
that,
really
yeah.
be fast. You just got to get open and catch the ball. I could do that.
That's true. Well, David, go ahead, Hodgie, please.
My question, closing question.
Yeah.
So you're doing this. You have this position as the uniform compliance inspector,
Yes.
and there's been a lot of talk about changing the Bengals uniforms. I'm against it. I like them as they are. What do you think? Do we make a move? Do we not? Waste of money?
I just think it's you know, they're trying to go a new era. It's changing. Uniforms are uniforms. I don't care what.
Yeah.
You know, as long as it's presentable, I'm good to go. So I changing them. I don't. I mean, it's not going to make or break me if they change them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just another uniform. And once again, you change those uniforms and you expect the change, and you get the same results. Now you're going to blame it on the uniform. So no,
Right.
don't.
That's
just
true.
leave it alone.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny. Before every game, they show the record for the Bengals in that uniform, as if that has like some sort of impact. It's crazy. David, congratulations!
Thank
You just
my friend.
completed your degree at ASU,
Oh, yeah.
at Arizona State.
Yes.
A couple of weeks ago, I think less, right?
It was May 1st.
May 1st. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah.
Oh,
So almost a month ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Eh,
That was
I mean, yeah.
that was exciting, man. That was a time that I never thought would happen. You know, being out of the league over 30 years, and you know, fortunate that the trust was given past players an opportunity to finish their degrees, and I wrote an essay, and they gave me a $20,000 scholarship for 2 years. $20,000 per year. And I think I used about 33,000 of that, and I got my degree and finished it, and inspired by my daughter graduating from Thomas More College in Kentucky.
What was your major?
It was just a liberal studies, general studies major. I didn't
The best.
I didn't go out and go after something in particular. I was basically wanting to finish school, something that I should have finished. I changed my major. I was a psych major when I was at Arizona State, and I changed it to a not a difficult major, but something simple that I could finish. And it was awesome. It was great. And my wife helped me a lot. My daughter helped me, my mother-in-law. It was something that I had to finish that I should have done 30 something years ago, but I got it done. And I always tell people, man, you're never too late to get things done. And online, I wish they had online when I was in high school or college then, because I'd probably got it done back then.
I mean, honestly, David, you doing it the way you did is actually more inspirational. When you did it and you didn't really need the degree. I mean, I know you said there's some jobs that required it, but I mean, you had a lot of options, but you wanted the education, and that really sets a great example.
Yeah.
And it made sense, man, because there were a few jobs. I know one that really passionate to my heart was the program director at the Hamilton County Justice Center, and I've been in there for over 20 something years with the program. The job was actually offered to me until I had my first question in the interview, and that was, "What's your degree in?" And when I said I don't have one, they said, "Well, we can't hire you."
Yeah.
And that was tough, man, because I didn't want that job for the money.
Yeah.
I wanted the job because I'm already in there.
Yeah.
I'm just honestly, I gotta say
tough.
that's pretty bold for someone to turn David Fulcher down for a job. I mean, you could easily just sack that person right there.
It wasn't the Hamilton County Justice Center. I actually applied for high school coaching jobs here in Ohio, probably about 6 or 7 high schools, big schools. And they all turned me down because they said I didn't have experience. And I'm thinking, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Come on.
It's just it's a protocol of the degree.
I know, I'm like, wait a minute, come on now. And so, but I think my coaching is to coach those young men and women who are incarcerated to get back out in society.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Mr. Fulcher, I think I speak on behalf of all of us.
Yeah.
Saying how grateful we are that you came on the show.
Very.
Set aside the time.
Yeah.
I'm still in awe that I'm talking to a living legend. I enjoyed watching you play, and I enjoy watching all of the good things you're doing for the community. Now, it was the greatest pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you
very much. Yeah.
Guys, thank you guys for having me, man. And I'm telling you, I didn't know what to expect, man, but I think I'm in love with this, man. I gotta start following y'all and figuring out how to watch y'all because this is
thank you.
This is cool what you do, and
thank you.
It's great to be on it, man. And Bengal Jim and Daniel, man, appreciate you guys hanging out with me as well, man. And much more success to all you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Our pleasure, David.
For the viewers, please subscribe. Like all that stuff, and you can patronize us. Be patronizing towards us on patreon.com/DH Sports. For David Fulcher, Bengal Jim, Daniel Gamba, and Dr. Hodgie Detective Smoji, I am Dadio. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you next time. So long. Bisfiti. Bye.
Take care, guys. Have a
Bye.
good one. Bye.
You too, David.
Good day, buddy.
Bye.